about becoming bad.
98. Man, Ascendant. Shout out to Gemstone Legends. Download from my links in the comments and you can win an iPhone 13 Plus Pro or a Samsung Galaxy 21 Plus. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.
He proceeded forward, towards it, its humanoid shape becoming clearer. Something started to come over him, an odd feeling. His eyes began to sting as the wind whipped into them, seemingly freezing the tears which had suddenly started to form. What was it he was feeling? Was it piety? God? He had been warned that this could happen. He took a deep breath. Suck it up, Chen. Do your job. He stepped forward again, in the air above the figure to form. It was the Ophanum. They were coming. No time to waste. He started to run towards the figure. With each stride, he felt more guilt and sorrow. He pushed forward. In the air, they had materialized. They didn't look happy. Almost there. One of them dove for him. His reactions kicked in as he slid around the statue. What was that? Were those bones coming out of its back? He came to a stop almost underneath the figure's face, having grabbed its hand as he slid past. Something was wrong, though. He looked down and opened his hand. 6 fingers. What was this thing? He cast his eyes upward now, onto the figure's face. It had 3 eyes. 3 cold, dead eyes peering into his very soul. The sorrow and guilt were overwhelming now. In the sky, the Ophanum were descending down to them. Chen quickly scrambled backwards. They grabbed the statue and tried to pull it, but it wouldn't budge. And just like that, they started to dematerialize. Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Something was digging into his back. He turned to see what it was. It was a small pile of stones with only the words, "The chains have broken, and the fires have been doused." Are you seeing this, Doc? Is the feed coming in clear?
Yep, let's proceed.
Alright. Case file says male, approximately 40 years old. Found buried under the snow in 1989, not far from the figure. Short distance away, also buried, 1 Piasecki H-21 Shawnee helicopter.
Okay. Body looks consistent with a crash and fire.
Confirm.
What else?
ID card in left front pocket. Member of La Spada di Cristo?
The Sword of Christ.
Didn't know you spoke Italian, Doc.
Just a little, but I know my groups of interests. This is GOI 182. They're closely tied to the Vatican. That's enough for now. Hang tight and let me see what I can dig up.
Doc, be quick about it. This temperature is making my hair go flat.
1961, you say? Yes. It was a good year. Chateau Latour was especially delicious if I do recall. There was a late frost. The entire region suffered. The surviving vines put all their energy into what grapes lived, leading to a concentrated and strong Bordeaux. Well, that wasn't your question. It was an Iscariot event.
Yes, I recall it as well. I felt the Akiva radiation. It felt like...
Like what?
Well, like an angel had fallen.
Launch your new hospitality business without the hassle. Discover more at the Queensland Business Launchpad.
I wish I could put some skin in the game. Let's turn and burn.
Had fallen.
The professor had pulled some strings and arranged the meeting for Klaus. Despite being a man of science, he was nervous. Why had no information been forthcoming when the statue had been discovered all those years ago? And would he find the information and answers the Foundation hadn't been able to then?
Welcome, Dr. Klaus. Please, have a seat. The Cardinal will be with you shortly.
Thank you. I appreciate you organizing this meeting on such short notice.
Of course. Lucius has been an ally of the Church for many generations. Though we are never sure where his beliefs lie, he has, nonetheless, helped us many times.
The Cardinal walked into the room, a tall and stern man.
I have a little time. We have told you all we know before.
I apologize for the disruption, Your Eminence, but something isn't clear to us. Angels have fallen before, but the radiation levels were never this high. In fact, the Ocvia radiation levels from the North Pole are still elevated.
Do you question me? Do you question the church?
It's not that, Your Eminence. Perhaps if I could see your files on the incident...
Impossible. The arrogance to question the Vatican. Leave now, before I report your insubordination to the 05.
The other priest nodded towards him and raised his hand ever so slightly. Klaus took the hint. This cardinal wasn't his ally.
Thank you for your time, Your Eminence.
The cardinal is a man of strong faith and little patience. I have heard stories, but it is a closely kept secret. Return now to your foundation. Let me see what the archives hold. God is in the details, and God is truth.
Klaus heard his phone go off. It was the father he had met earlier that day.
I've gone through the archives, Dr. Claude.
But little information remains. Most has either been redacted or hidden, but I did find something.
I will send it through to you now. Make of it what you will.
It belonged to the man you found with the helicopter.
Godspeed, Doctor.
The message came through moments later. It appeared to be a letter, almost like a suicide letter. The man took responsibility for the death of the figure in the snow. He spoke of putting a knife in its back, and of the regret he now felt. It didn't add up. If it was an angel, why the cover-up and the enormously elevated radiation levels? He picked up his phone and called Chen.
Chen, I need you to go to the statue again.
Do you have any idea?
What the temperature is right now? -33°C.
It's important. See if you can find any distinguishing features, symbols, scars, etc.
You mean besides the 6 fingers, 3 eyes, and bones coming out its back?
Just have a look.
I think it's an angel.
Here we go again. This time, it's gonna be quick. Eyes on me. The agents nodded as Chen took off at a sprint. As soon as he got close, the Ophanum started to materialize. He felt the guilt and piety swelling in him again. He knelt down, face to face with the statue, and looked for anything out of the ordinary. He searched his face, but nothing was apparent. Time was running short. The Ophanum were almost on him. He heard Klaus in his ear.
Get out. You're out of time.
10 seconds.
Get out now or those angels are gonna have your head.
5 seconds. But it was too late. They were on him now. Chen shut his eyes. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It had gone silent. Chen opened his eyes to see the Ophanum had stopped.
What happened?
They stopped. I read out the Lord's Prayer and... It suddenly dawned on Klaus.
Oh my God.
Sure looks like it. Provisional Outpost 5998 has been constructed around SCP-5998 and should be staffed only by those with strong atheistic beliefs who have not previously expressed religious faith. Any changes observed in SCP-5998's condition should be reported to the Department of Tactical Theology immediately. SCP-5998 is a desiccated corpse frozen in a kneeling position south of the North Pole. The corpse, which was covered by a thick blanket upon discovery, resembles a human with several physical abnormalities. 6 fingers on each hand, 3 eyes, bone protrusions emerging from its back. SCP-5998 has not decayed since discovery. Disturbance of the corpse results in the formation of Type 1 Empyrean entities. While instances appear to last only minutes before dissipating, they are hostile to any personnel within sight. Instances will attempt to move SCP-5998 away, but are unable to do so before their cessation. Religious personnel attempting to approach the area are subject to nausea, vomiting, and intense feelings of guilt, sorrow, or anger. Religious personnel transported forcefully to SCP-5998's near proximity will experience seizures and remain incoherent until removed. Those who are currently non-religious but have been so in the past will typically experience a religious reawakening, professing a return to faith. SCP-5998-1 is a grave marker comprised of piled stones stacked on top of one another, directly in front of the corpse. The gravestone is devoid of any names and dates, bearing instead the following line in English: "The chains have broken, and the fires have been doused." In 1989, the corpse of a Caucasian male in his early 40s was found buried in a snowbank approximately 50 meters from SCP-5998. Identification in his pocket confirmed him as a member of GOI 182, La Spada di Cristo, a Vatican-affiliated group of interest.
Whether you believe in God, gods, atheism, or something else, always keep an open mind and respect all people. You are a human being after all, so act like one.
As always, have a care and remember to subscribe, like, and share. If you would. Until next time, farewell.
Energy, internet, mobile. It's altogether great value, and it's why Aussies choose us, AGL.
Get building and make the world your playground.
The two men followed behind, blindly allowing the stranger to guide them. They had set out earlier in the day to trek and survey the area, but a few hours prior, their Sherpa, Tenzing, had disappeared. It didn't matter anyway. It was easier and more discreet for them to do what they had actually come here for, without him watching them. They called out to the tall stranger with the lantern, but no reply was forthcoming. He just continued, walking forward, to what they hoped was the pathway back to the village. The figure in front of them came to a halt, just up ahead. They had reached the trailhead. As the two men reached the tall figure, it slowly turned, raising the lantern in front of its face. The intensity of the light obscured its features. The only thing they could make out were glowing, red eyes. It put forth a hand, palm up, as if asking for something. Its fingers were long and curled, with sharp, elongated fingernails. The first man looked back at the other, questioning what was all this about. Then he remembered the folk stories the villagers had warned him about. It had to be appeased. He reached into his pocket, but as he did, he heard his friend yell and run forward, brandishing a machete.
Welcome back. Today I bring you SCP-5252, the Lantern Bearer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. What the?
I am Moralia, a healer. And by the looks of you, you need it. This video is sponsored by Gemstone Legends.
With smaller profits.
Hell of a story. What do you think it is? A Yeti? It's a Yeti, right? Come on. Yeti, yeah?
Do I really need to dignify that answer?
Called it. Yeti time.
No, it's not a Yeti. Did you hear me say anything about white fur?
And plus, even if I do hear from my dad, I'm gonna kill him so I can have his power and do whatever the fuck I wanna do. I don't want to listen to the Scarlet King anymore. When I do hear from the Scarlet King, I'm gonna tell my time warping, reality bending, you know, those other SCPs that I'm friends with. You know those two? Yeah. So, yeah, basically, you know, I'm gonna tell them so they can help me get rid of my dad. I don't think I can take him. I might be powerful and all, but I'm not powerful enough to take on my dad, the Scarlet King. So, when I hear from my dad, I will let those other SCPs, or 2 other SCPs who I'm friends with, help me get rid of him. Why not? I want to do whatever the fuck I want to do. I don't want to listen to my dad anymore. I want to do whatever the fuck I want to do from now on. So, as soon as the Scarlet King contact me, well, you know what I mean. So, yeah. Press play.
This thing was carrying carrying a lantern and more humanoid than some massive ape creature.
So, what? Drunk guy? What's that got to do with the Foundation?
For crying out loud. Glowing red eyes! Long, creepy fingers!
Ah, right. Anyway, Nepal, here we come.
Base camp is operational, sir. Preliminary interviews have been conducted. All leads point to the Jadana. It's sort of like the village's spiritual leader. Shall I bring him in? Yes, but do it gently. I suspect we're going to need his help again.
Leave it to me. Gently is my middle name.
You stay here. Let them handle that. I need you to check over the perimeter.
You underestimate me. Such a waste of my many talents. Chen walked the perimeter with another field agent, expecting the work that had been completed prior to their arrival. These perimeter fences, too shallow. Leave them for the night, but tomorrow I want them sunk in deeper. The searchlights suddenly lit up as the perimeter sirens rung out. Let's go. There had been an attack at containment unit number 3, nearby the local village. What happened here?
Sir, 2 construction personnel and 3 security personnel. Dead. 5 injured. The Jadana came to us with books, babbling incoherently. I tried to calm him down, but he wouldn't have it. Anyway, I had him detained off-site and we resumed felling trees. It came out of nowhere. Before I knew what happened, they were dead. Can I offer you some tea?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, straight to business then.
Yes, I would prefer that.
You are the Jadana.
I am, but you can call me Sang.
Okay, Sang. Can you explain what's going on here?
I tried to warn them, but they wouldn't listen to me. All of you need to all leave now before it's too late.
Too late? Too late for what?
You've upset the spirit of the forest. It will come back for you.
What have we done to
Look,
upset
the
your
Foundation would even
You come
care.
here, year after year, you litter, you disrespect the land, damage our trees. Do you think you could do this with impunity?
You mean the tourists?
We calm the spirit and provide offerings to appease it. But every year it gets worse. If you don't leave now, I fear for all of us.
I see. And the 2 men before me?
They were not tourists. They said they were, but they were not. Tenzing knew that they were surveyors for a logging company. He left them on the trail to fend for themselves.
Sang stood up.
Now I must leave and try to calm the spirit. I warn you now. Leave before it's too late.
Chen stood up to block the man's path.
It's okay to let him go.
The alarms blared, awaking Chen and Klaus from their sleep. An agent came running in.
Sir, fire near the village. Sir, fire near the village.
From what they could see, most of the village had burnt down. Bodies of both Foundation staff, contractors, and the local villagers were found strewn across the site.
Oh, we should have listened to his warning. What happened here? SCP
So,
Mach 2 about
Melissa,
to engage personnel.
do you smoke
We're
weed?
not sure how the fire broke out,
So,
but
what
one of the
about
men
smoke?
might have dropped the lantern
So,
nearby one of the wooden
cool.
houses during the chaos.
He's enjoying the smoke.
Did the SCP come into the village? Negative. The men were preparing to extend a section of the wall. Where's the Jadana? Where's Sang?
If he'll join now
haven't been
in the
able to
smoke,
locate
then
him.
we'll fuck.
Get a Sherpa
Done.
and make sure he's a
Good
good
girl.
tracker.
Melissa.
They followed the
I
man
know.
through the tight passes, heading higher up the mountain. It was dark and bitterly cold.
Yeah, boy.
The only light coming from their flashlights and the Sherpa's torch up ahead. He had picked up a trail leaving the village. There were 2 sets of footprints, one larger set slightly older than the first. As they rounded a precarious bend in the mountain, they saw the Sherpa up ahead, stopped with his lantern held high. They slowly approached and surveyed the surrounding areas. They couldn't see anything. Why have we stopped? The man pointed at the ground without looking away. The footprints led to the edge of the mountain and simply stopped.
I don't understand. They didn't just commit suicide here, and they surely didn't fly away. What's going on?
The Sherpa turned his gaze away from the mountain he had been watching in the distance, and slowly lowered his lantern. As Klaus's eyes adjusted, he saw a faint light on the mountain across from them. He raised his binoculars to have a better look. It was a lantern. The light went out, and all that was left were those glowing red eyes. 2 pairs of them now. Due to the operative zone of SCP-5252 remaining immobile, Area 5252 encompasses SCP-5252, its known range of travel, and a 1-kilometer buffer zone. No alterations or additions to land, flora, or fauna are permitted. All Foundation members are to undergo Training Protocol BSC-5252 to minimize damage to the area before being assigned to Area 5252. SCP-5252 is an approximately 2-meter-tall humanoid entity of indeterminate race and gender, which carries an oil lantern. Reported details regarding its appearance are sparse and unclear. SCP-5252 travels at will by unknown means throughout a 26.3 square kilometer section of land located in the central region of Nepal, within the Himalayan mountains. The area includes a remote mountain pass, numerous hiking trails, and a local village. A pattern of injuries, thefts, and disappearances have been attributed to SCP-5252, most often seen on adjacent peaks or trails moving along at a walking pace. Sightings of this entity date back in local records to 1435, but oral tradition puts the potential first emergence of SCP-5252 within the 12th century. Instances of this entity coming into closer range of observers are primarily during inclement weather. Reports indicate that lone or paired climbers who become lost often mistake it for a Sherpa or rescuer and follow the entity back to the trailhead. SCP-5252 has only been observed as a dark outline of a tall humanoid figure. SCP-5252 stays several meters ahead of the observer and does not respond to verbal commands or inquiries, regardless of the language spoken. Once the observed figure reaches the trailhead, it will stop and wait for the hikers to catch up to it. Survivors report that the brightness of the lantern makes any details of the figure indistinguishable, but a dark hand is held out, open palm, to the lone or nearest human. If the individual fails to present SCP-5252 with an item, it will take an object by force or inflict non-lethal injury. Sightings and encounters with SCP-5252 have been found to be increasing in conjunction with rising numbers of tourists in the area.
If preserving nature for our own benefit and survival isn't reason enough for you, how about not having the lantern bearer knocking on your door?
Don't forget to check out Gemstone Legends for a chance to win an iPhone or Samsung Galaxy. Links in the description.
You can't see the generous dash of Queen Vanilla.
Fuck off, Edge. What? Yeah.
Klaus raised his head to look towards the building. The energy levels from the building had been climbing throughout the night. Something was coming, and it wasn't good. MTF Theta 77 en route. Should be here within the hour. I don't think we have an hour. This thing is ready to pop. Let me get in there. I can sort this out. Don't be an idiot. The radiation levels are off the charts. Let's talk with Pythia. She might have something for us. They approached the back of the large truck. They swung the doors open. Pythia, we need your help. This place is oozing paranormal energy. We've got a reading of 2.0 kilocaspers.
Ask what you will of me, but know this. I will not intervene with this otherworldly creature.
Typical. That's not what I'm asking. We don't know what we're dealing with here. Whatever is in there is angry. MTF, who you gonna call, is still an hour out. Tell me something. Tell me anything.
As you wish. Step forth and close your eyes.
Let me now show you what happened here 200 years ago.
Welcome back. Today I bring you SCP-2696, the haunted Victorian mansion of Dark Peak. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Dark Peak Manor, as it came to be known, had been built by the late Henry Percival Rossith in 1869. Right from the outset, the Victorian mansion had been unique. Henry had been a student of the occult and mysticism from the Orient. Though the initial house design and construction had been relatively typical, it all took a dark turn in January of 1873 with the death of his wife, Clara. It wasn't long after that his two young children perished as well. Henry immersed himself into his occult work, centering on the Victorian mansion. Teams of men worked day and night to make odd adjustments to the house. Exotic and strange materials were imported to the house. Features such as winding staircases to nowhere, floors which reached the ceilings, and other oddities were added. Henry insisted on overseeing all the work himself, often becoming enraged and short with the workers until eventually they all left. His temper and strange visions were the reasons the workers gave. Henry could be found working day and night from a room with a black door. Flashing lights, auras, smoke, and strange sounds were found emanating from behind that door. Towards the end, only Henry and one servant remained in the house. In his grief, Henry had turned to the occult world that had fascinated him for so long. The mind-made body was of particular interest. It spoke of the power of turning thoughts, no memories, into reality. In his desperation, he turned to mysticism for an answer and a way to bring his lost family back to him. Jatinder Jaishankar, Dr. Amos Byrne, and his wife, Aurelia Delacroix, gripped the large tiger-shaped knocker. It sent a resounding thud through the mansion. All three were eminent occultists and exorcists, here to investigate under the thinly veiled excuse of checking up on Henry. The reports had been coming in for some while. Odd sights, sounds, and even feelings of paranoia and nausea when near the house. When Henry came to greet them, he was a mere shell of his former self. He was skeletal and haggard. His body looked as if he'd aged decades in mere months. His eyes shone of insanity, but tempered with intelligence, the most dangerous kind. As the night wore on, it became clear that Henry knew why they were here, despite their excuses to the contrary. However, he didn't seem bothered by it, though he disclosed nothing to them. His mannerism expressed something else. What was it? Pride? They couldn't be sure, but there was more going on here than the old man was revealing. As the night wore on and the guests retired to their rooms, they had agreed to meet later in the night to inspect the black door while Henry was asleep. 2:30 a.m. on the dot. Jatinder heard a quiet knock on his door. Awaiting him in the doorway was Amos and Aurelia. They signaled to follow them. They approached the black door, but to their surprise, it was unlocked. They pushed it open, revealing a long, oddly shaped corridor. As they walked through the hall, they came upon a most bizarre room. The floors were uneven, windows built at a slant, staircases going nowhere. They found the real staircase leading up to the second flight and made their way to it. As they walked down the corridor, Jatinder was struck with a sudden feeling of nausea. The dowsing rods, held by the two others, exploded suddenly as they all fell to their knees. Jatinder felt a sudden coldness come over him, a coldness that was tempered with fire and anger. As he looked up, he saw the apparition gliding towards him. It was partially transparent, and though it didn't float, it also didn't walk. Its eyes glowed with an intense hatred, but also confusion. Did it understand what it was? Jatinder rolled up his sleeves, presenting the archaic rites and rituals emblazoned into his skin. It was now the only thing protecting them from this malicious spirit. It bore down upon him. He sensed his end was near. She suddenly stopped and turned her eyes on something behind her. He heard a voice call out, "Clara!" and in a heartbeat, she was upon the man. He screamed, and suddenly, as quickly as it had all started, she and the man were gone. Jatinder knew now that it had been Henry who had sacrificed himself to save them from the spirit he had manifested.
Get 30% off broadband from More. There's more to love in the combat cap.
Looking for me, I'll be dancing in my own way.
The pleasure's all mine.
Thunder knew now that it had been Henry who had sacrificed himself to save them from the spirit he had manifested of his dead wife, Clara. For crying out loud, well, we're done for. The one thing that could control her, well, he died 200 years ago.
Poor Jen. I'm sure Apollo will find space for you in the afterlife. Do you prefer
Is that what
foot
smoking
wash
at the
or
fuck?
nose
Done,
hair?
daddy.
Oh, you got jokes now. You think this through? If I die, I'll be back, haunting you. Got it?
Love is stronger than hatred.
You love me now?
No, you fool!
She's talking about the mansion. Thank you, Pythia. Chen, let's go. As they came back to the house, Theta 77 had already set up a cordon. Sir, we're at 7.5 kilocaspers. We're off the charts here. Unknown territory. I don't think we can hold her. She's gonna break containment. She stood in the open doorway, her aura and radiation increasing.
Miles, Edgar, we need you now. I know you can hear me. I know you don't want anyone else hurt. Please.
From behind Clara, two small spectral entities emerged. As they each grabbed one of her hands, her eyes quieted and the aura surrounding her faded. They led her back up the stairs as the front door silently closed behind them. SCP-2696 is a mansion located in the region of Dark Peak in Derbyshire, England. The interior of SCP-2696 typically induces mild claustrophobia and panic in individuals within 1 hour of entry. Prolonged exposure leads to an intensification of such feelings, resulting in severe, crippling paranoia within 3 to 6 hours. Additionally, the nursery and the tower of SCP-2696 are subject to an anomalous effect which prevents all matter from entering or exiting the boundaries of either area. This effect does not extend to electromagnetic or aspect radiation. SCP-2696-1 is a translucent, intangible humanoid apparition physically resembling the late Clara Rossif, though it has been known to assume various non-humanoid forms during periods of high activity. Previous incarnations have included multiple, younger versions of Clara Rossif, an animated mass of decaying plumeria blossoms, and a motile column of bone and biological tissue. SCP-2696-1 primarily remains inside the tower of SCP-2696 when inactive, but will attempt to escape from the boundaries of SCP-2696 if its containment is not strictly enforced. SCP-2696-2A and 2B designates the skeletal remains of Miles and Edgar Rossif, respectively, located inside the nursery of SCP-2696. Due to the inaccessibility of the nursery, the two instances of SCP-2696-2 have only been documented via etheric resonance imaging and X-ray imaging of the nursery interior. SCP-2696-2A and 2B are normally inert, with the two entities lying in a fetal position at the center of the room. The two entities only animate during periods of high SCP-2696-1 activity. During such periods, 2A and 2B have been observed to alternate between wrestling each other, dancing in circles, and standing motionless at the door to the nursery. Enhanced imaging of the two entities reveals the presence of a carved symbol on the forehead of each of the instances' skulls. Notes recovered from the study suggest a relation between the symbol and various experiments conducted by Henry Percival Rossif. In particular, those concerning the manifestation and manipulation of thought-based constructs. SCP-2696 was formerly known as Rosyth Hall, built in 1869 by the eccentric industrialist and occultist Henry Percival Rosyth. It comprises of 2 stories and an elevated tower, constructed in a traditional neo-Gothic architectural style. Its interior, however, features numerous unorthodox design elements, such as sloped floors, dead-end hallways, protruding surfaces, and uneven, twisting corner angles.
SCP-2696-1 activity was greatly reduced in the months following this incident. It is unknown as to why the surge protectors failed. as well as to how SCP-2696-2 was able to leave the nursery and pacify SCP-2696-1.
Subsequent investigations revealed that the interior structure of SCP-2696 was significantly damaged by the large burst of aspect radiation caused by the emergence of SCP-2696-2 from the nursery. While some of the damage was repairable, several structures utilized fragile and/or currently unobtainable materials that were unable to be replaced in full. It appears that while SCP-2696-2 serves as a last resort failsafe mechanism for SCP-2696, repeated activations will have the negative effect of permanently reducing the containment effectiveness of SCP-2696, resulting in more frequent and violent breach attempts. Given current containment practices and rates of failure of AAFM units, it is estimated that SCP-2696-1 will have a 47% chance of fully breaching containment by 2030. Accordingly, members of the ECRG assigned to SCP-2696 are to focus on devising more sustainable and permanent long-term containment solutions for SCP-2696-1.
Love unending, though a beautiful concept, can sometimes lead us down a path of desperation and despair. Love.
Secure your financial well-being with support from Australian Unity, because when you take care of the big moments, you can enjoy the in-between ones, like this.
At Solarheart, we're proud to be leading Australia's solar charge, helping smart Aussies make a real difference to the planet, cutting their energy bills and connecting them to their smart energy future. Get smart, get Solarheart.
Johnny hadn't been to the circus for the past 2 years. His dad refused to take him after what happened last time. It had been a great evening. Johnny had seen elephants, high wire acts, and even had his fortune told. In case you were wondering, his future looked bright.
Ready? Yep. Let's do this. For your hair. Oh hi, it's the next day. As you can see, I'm chilling at the mall. Smoke some weed. Press play.
So they're looking at me.
I think so.
Have a
One
wonderful
thing I
day.
believe I could recommend.
I just got chills. Like up and down my entire body.
There.
It's moving.
It's moving that direction.
Okay.
Moving this direction.
So they're coming towards me.
Keep going a little. Now it's straight on and
It's mapping
staying
you
away.
and somebody right now.
Where by me?
They're still on the
Like
wall.
right here?
They just
Oh
disappeared.
shit.
So right when I went to put my hand where there is left.
They were further right here.
And this is where I sleep. And this is where I heard that thing in my ear.
But it's avoiding you now because possibly you know it's there.
I think they're not comfortable with us here. That's where I'm getting this whole feeling from. I just don't think that they're comfortable enough with us here to do everything for you.
So what do I do?
Only
I wonder. This is place. I'm hungry. I remember in my old universe I have McDonald's. Yeah, they have McDonald's here too. How can I help you? Yeah, I would like... Shit. Never mind, I've no money. I remember I have to pay. Fuck. Well, shit. No matter. Who cares? I remember I just, yeah, I have to pay. It's not free. So.
think of the brightest light you can possibly
possibly imagine, the brightest, most natural light. You have to keep that inside and picture it from inside you, getting brighter and brighter until you're completely covered, and you can use that as a shield.
Matter of fact, let's go to her house. That chick's house what I fucked yesterday. You know, the SCP. You know what I mean. See if she can cook me up a burger. Since I have no money. Here we go again. Come in. Hey. Hey, what's up? Can you cook me up a burger? Sure. Thanks. I'll be chilling out here. Oh, good. Press play.
That's how you ground yourself. Breathing at that time.
Here you go.
When you do
Here's
that,
the burger.
you're completely protected.
Thanks. Let's
Can't
eat.
touch you.
It was good. See ya. See ya. Let's go chill somewhere. Can't breathe it. I'm living in the city now. Not in the foundation no longer. Let's go chill here. Press play.
Look, all I'm saying is, it's about time we got a proper
Have a
SCP
blunt.
game. Honestly, this is one of the best SCP games I've ever played. SCP Secret Files. The demo just dropped on Steam.